been studying architectural techniques in construction since I was 20 years old, and I've been fortunate to have been involved in dozens of magnificent builds. Like many of us in the industry, our curiosity starts with how things are built, and we learn specific trades. We become proficient in the assembly processes, and I'll call that the how of level of construction. Um, After that, after mastering, a lot of these construction puzzles and the challenges, whether it be concrete or plumbing or electrical or carpentry or welding or HVAC or whatever, for many years, some of us move into management and rise to elite levels as team leaders in construction. Um, that's what I'll call the when level of construction. And when in this case is it refers to scheduling and deadlines and materials and labor timing and completion dates and profitability benchmarks and things like that. That's the when. And for those of us who really enjoy construction in that sector, we might start to lean into the why level of construction. And the why level I'm referring to is the curiosity of why we're building these large objects and what is the structure and why is it built in this way. And we look to comprehend or appreciate the architectural design intent. On this video, I'm going to get deep on design intent, and we're off to Japan to look at a minimalist lake house that's pretty impressive. The floor plan of this residence is unusual, but it's ingenious, and it's kind of a spiral floor plan. The traffic pattern from the entrance gate of the property spirals down into the home to access the individual levels. And this ramping kind of layout is practical in design, and it minimizes the need for excessive hallways or multiple stairway systems. Okay, let's start at the entry gate. Okay, here's the exterior. Okay, let's start at the entry gate. The front teeth of the house here is modest. It speaks of privacy and security and creates a little curiosity. It's a low-key design, nothing ostentatious, with features that seek attention or say, hey, look at me. A very plain and low-key exterior and entry. Okay, the home unfolds as you enter, ramping gradually from the initial welcoming zone and begins leading the eye into lower areas and out over the lake. This ramping continues down into the social spaces and ultimately into more private zones and all the way to the lake shore. This is all intentional and deliberate by the designers. Already up here we see the use of local pebble stones that organically connect the home to the rocky texture of the shoreline. The chosen color palette is very natural and practical, and there's some subtle grays and blacks and nothing highly reflective or screaming bright colors. The dark wood cladding seen here may be Shosugiban, which is an environmentally friendly wood preservative treatment. This technique, which originated in Asia, which is basically fire charred wood, guards against mold and decay and termites. And I built a large home in Silicon Valley a few years back, and for members of the Samsung Electronics family. And they chose to cover the entire exterior of the home with horizontal black shosugiban, and it was really dramatic. It's a very cool look. Okay, let's talk site selection for a moment. This is a prime build site location. This is not just an impressive build site, but this is a true premier trophy site. Some ocean and lakefront sites, they deserve special attention and architectural detail, and this is definitely one of them. Before breaking ground on a build like this, participants in the design have many architectural aspects to consider. One early design aspect is what we call daylight plane. This includes a study of the sun's path from sunup to sundown and for all the seasons, and at different positions on the property. Natural light will wash into the home and it'll illuminate different indoor and outdoor spaces, and this is usually more architecturally intentional than people will recognize when they walk the property. It's part of an early study of where they want light. Morning light into kitchens and midday light into offices and social spaces, and then late day light into entertaining and dining zones. These are all common design objectives. Green zones also have specific daylight plane considerations for plants, etc. Another pre-planning objective on a trophy site like this is the orientation of internal or external spaces to maximize dramatic views. Some dramatic views are open and visible from many vantage points, and other views are planned to be unveiled or discovered, or to complement as like a backdrop to a certain space in the home or to a feature. This home has amazing dramatic views, high and low, and almost 180 degrees of panoramic view from all the rooms. So many floor plan layouts and options were available during the pre-planning. Okay, let's go forward here. The chosen roofing scene here is metal standing seam, and the ripples, if you look closely in the material, is what we call oil canning, which is normally undesirable. We usually take great care during an install to minimize this condition. Oil canning is the result of metal expansion or contraction from temperature changes. This is an extreme case, but the texture, it actually looks kind of cool and almost like it's intentional. The home structure looks to be almost entirely of cast in place concrete, and the core of the floor plan you can see was left open to the sky with a central outdoor social volume with many interesting forms and shadows. Multiple terrace levels, stair step down to the water's edge, and again the architect includes lake stones in the landscaping. Looking at the home from the water, 3 primary interior volumes can be seen, one high on the left and 2 down closer to the water. The 2 lower spaces are under a huge concrete slab which is spanning the full width of the home. I would imagine that This slab is has post-tension cables maybe running through the slab to keep it from sagging. That slender pointed upper roof cant tops off the design, extending out very far to the right, and adds some style to the otherwise bulky rectangular shapes. Okay, here we are viewing out across the lake from under that flying cantilever, and the wide expansive views are magnificent. Again, we see the inclusion of lake stones, which may kind of disguise kind of a rainwater drainage system or channel. I'm not a fan of the thin vertical rods that disturb the lake view here. If possible, I would have tried to engineer a structural alternative to those. Those vertical rods most likely serve in this case to deter the roof structure from lifting during high winds. Okay, the main entry is always a strong first impression, and we've got a large sliding door with an interesting subtle texture. It's kind of cool. Looks like glass on the right. Now inside, if you look closely, a glass curtain wall can be seen running the length of the view side and in the stones there, and it's hard to distinguish if we're inside or outside. Very nice. Okay, dining zone. This appears to be a dining space with minimal features. But speaks volumes about the being directly connected to the lake view. I see some minimal pin spots over the table for lighting. The floor looks to be a simple hammered concrete with a cool distressed finish. We got a cabinet piece here wrapping around the concrete structure, probably storage for dining related items. Beautiful view. Breakfasts and dinners from this dining area, especially during sunsets, must be absolutely amazing. Here we see angles and sharp architectural lines looking down this stairway area. This is a great minimalist stairway. It's consisting of wood treads over steel pieces that are cantilevering out of the concrete wall. Simple glass rail with the treads passing through the glass. I've seen hundreds of stair designs, and this one is well planned and ultra minimal. Okay, kitchen. Talk about a minimal kitchen. I imagine that many of the standard components, such as refrigeration and pantries, etc., are well hidden but also very well planned. There may be another service kitchen somewhere on the premises. Okay, bedroom. These are typical Japanese sleeping quarters. They're simple and deliberately uncluttered. Um, Here we see a couple of raised levels, which creates kind of an intimate niche. It's got garden views. It's really nice. I hope those lines along the top of the glazing are pocket shades or blackouts, or no one is sleeping in this room past sunrise. Okay, bath space. Uh, Clean, minimal lines, and I see a traditional Japanese sitting tub in the back. A great trough sink with drainage at the mirror. Another invisible trough at the shower wall. It's kind of a trough style linear drain at the shower. It's a nice minimal touch. The water closet is out of sight, which is nice. Beautiful bath, spacious, really nice. Okay, lighting. As mentioned, daylight design is planned, but artificial light is also planned with care. And in this case, all the lighting in the house is indirect. It's concealed, takes a lot of pre-planning and detailed installation as opposed to simply mounting surface fixtures everywhere. But indirect lighting is a true sign of a masterful build. Zero clutter, minimal glaring fixtures, um, really a nice touch to any fine home, that the lighting was an inclusive part of the build. Okay, so in closing, I built a few of these pour in place structures, and during the build term, I would spend many months in the different rooms and working in indoor and outdoor spaces of the home. The experience of living in these spaces is very pleasant and very dramatic. They are very impressive to visitors. And the drawbacks to these minimal monoliths is that even though they provide solitude and privacy there and peace, sometimes during the winter months, specific parts of the home and spaces can be a bit cold or clinical feeling. The mass of all the concrete, especially at lake level, creates challenges in climate control, especially low down inside different parts of the structure. Radiant heating is a really critical integrated part of this build, and it must be integrated into all the floors, basically to keep the place warm and toasty. My design critique on this one is that I would have included one or two social zones with fire as a central feature. Maybe in the central courtyard or in the dining zone. As well, soaking tubs are great and they're private for solitude in a bathroom, but I think a large social hot tub or jacuzzi would have been a nice touch down in the shoreline there where it's kind of barren. But the amount of magic in this home is very high. I would rate this build a solid 9 for site selection, architectural expression and the structural engineering of it. Just holding back 1 point because I think the home could benefit by adding a couple human touches, like to make it a little less clinical. I understand it's Japan and it's minimal modern, but it could use a few splashes of color, like some great art or artifacts. Maybe a few more garden zones could be implemented, a little greener, but to each his own. Otherwise, an absolutely killer build and a very high level of build magic on this one. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and take care. See you soon.